What's good, y'all? It's your boy Havoc, final round. Little film study here. We got Jake Paul and Rockman doing a little spar sesh. Let's check it out and see who got the upper hand. So I like that little feint in action by Jake. I like how he's altering his guard here. Kind of changing up, giving different looks. Not bad, not bad. Like how he's shooting down to the body. The technique's not perfect, but, Ooh, nice little triple jab there by Jake. But this is what I expect from somebody who hasn't been boxing for very long. Making Rockman miss a little bit there. I like how he lowers his level, changes levels, and goes down to the body, Jake Paul. It's actually very impressive. And I like how he's changing head slots, and he'll kind of move his head to the right. Once again, he's still having some issues with his technique. Good head movement by Jake. Lowers his level, pulls back, and then pivots out. Very nice. Needs to manage distance a little bit better. He was throwing punches and missing. He got caught with the check hook, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, finally we see Rockman throw a feint. His dad isn't lying about him. He is a very lazy fighter from what I see. Ooh, nice by Jake. Slips to the inside, throws an overhand right or a cross. I like that he's utilizing that jab and that lead hand. Look, say what you want about Jake, man. Considering he's inexperienced, he does a lot of intelligent things. Like, the problem is the technique is not quite there all the time. Good jab right there. I mean, he rattles Rockman's headgear. The technique's not quite there, but that takes time. It takes conditioning. It takes constantly getting to work and perfecting your craft, with like any sport. It takes years to develop that type of movement and make it, perfect and nice. A nice little pivot and counter hook by Jake Paul to get out of the corner. Rockman trying to throw in a jab. Rockman's not really doing much. Okay, I understand that he may have been told to keep his right hand at home, but if you're that much better with his resume as an amateur and his experience as a professional, there should be some things. He should be able to show his superiority in a way where he doesn't have to hurt Jake. And I'll elaborate that on a little bit later. Rockman tries to reach in with that right hand, change head slots like he's doing it right now. But I like what Jake does. He shoots his dad jab to kind of disrupt it. Rockman throws 1-2, misses. Out of range there. Once again, I like that Jake is lowering his level, but he needs to be careful with the technique because sometimes he gets caught with that check hook as he's lowering his level. It's a smart idea. He just needs to, make sure the technique is proper. So one of the things I was going to say about Rockman is that every time I spar somebody who's just drastically better than me, professional fighters who have lots of experience or been doing it their whole lives, they're able to give me good work, hit me at will without even hurting me, and they can execute their defense perfectly, all without hurting me. That's how much better they are. That's how much more skilled they are. And the reason why I'm not buying that Rockman is drastically better than Jake Paul because I don't really see him doing anything that indicates that he's drastically better. Once again, I understand he may have been told to keep his right hand at home. I understand that, or maybe he didn't want to hurt Jake Paul, which I'm sure he didn't. But there's ways you can display your level of IQ and skill over your sparring partner without even hurting him. I have to make that clear. And then another indication that maybe he's not as good or drastically better than Jake Paul as he thinks he is because he's throwing a lot of punches and missing them. Pro fighters going against low-level fighters like this should not be missing punches. They should be way more efficient. They shouldn't be swinging and missing on air. That's a bad sign for Rockman. Lazy feint by Rockman. Good overhand right by Jake Paul. Doesn't really matter. I like the timing. It was good timing on it. Rockman needs to do something because he gets caught with a lot of right hands, I noticed, doing that Philly shell. Rockman tries to swat away Jake Paul's, lead hand, trying to measure the distance, and Rockman swats it away. Once again, kind of a lazy counter by Rockman. Tries to go down to the body, I think, with the right cross, catch and shoot with the right right cross. So I guess he's not supposed to keep his right. I guess he can let his right hand go. Throws a jab to the body. Rockman needs to lower his level properly if he's going to do that, especially if he's going against a undersized guy who likes throwing lots of overhand rights. You don't lower your level properly, you're going to get caught with some big stuff. Obviously Rockman's calm and he's composed and he clearly looks like he's seasoned in the way he's, presenting himself. But I don't see him doing much. You shouldn't have to wait for Jake to get his offense off for you to counter. You should be able to create a lot of opportunities on your own. You should know how to walk Jake into things or, pressure him in a way to where you're able to land punches and good combos by Jake. And right here, just because you don't want to hurt him, you still can throw punches and pull him at the end if that's the big concern. There's still stuff you can do. Like that jab right there. He throws it, he misses it. Why are you throwing a jab like that? You're clearly out of range. That's not going to make Jake better. It's not going to make you better. I had a trainer who was phenomenal at doing that. Elite Boxing Fitness Studio in Orlando, Florida with Dorian Beaupierre. Actually has a very famous video where the bully comes in and he beats up the bully. But great trainer, Dorian Beaupierre, used to be a professional fighter. He was so good at sparring with you and giving you a good look and beating you up in a way to where he wasn't going to send you to the fucking hospital or knock you out or anything of the sort. And he wouldn't even hurt you. But he could land punches and control them in a way and show you the superiority in his skills, like I said, without even hurting you. And I don't see this from Rockman. There's so much he could be doing right now if he's as good or that much better than he says he is compared to Jake. I like how Jake's leaning into the right. Nice. Leans into the right, shoots a right cross, switches his stance, follows up with punches, and catches Rockman in the corner. I like Jake keeping that jab active. I like how he uses variation with his jab. Sometimes he'll throw it vertically. Sometimes he'll throw it horizontally. He'll change levels with it. Sometimes he'll just touch you with it. He's just trying to crack your guard. I noticed that, look at this. Throws a feint, throws a jab to the shoulder. He knows that Rockman's in that Philly shell. So what's Jake Paul do? He goes to the shoulder. Nice little roll under right there, being defensively responsible. He has pretty damn good jab, man, where he's at in boxing. Because I keep on seeing Rockman's head snap back. Little sloppy technique there, but I like that he took a chance and he worked his way in. And even Jake, he's pulling his punches too. It's not like he's uncorking bombs. He could have there and he didn't. He was kind of pulling. I like how he's measuring distance. Good little feint. Oop, gets caught. Caught right there. But there's ways that Rockman can put pressure, and even if you're being told, hey, don't throw punches or don't throw hard punches, put pressure on him. Work on your head movement. Work on your defense. Mate, that's what I do. Usually, like, for instance, when I spar people who are drastically less better than me, my trainer will tell me, hey, pull your punches, like don't throw anything hard, or he'll just say, hey, work on defense. And what do? I'll put my hands down. If I'll put my hands down. I'll start working my head movement. I'll work on different guards, or I'll go to southpaw stance, like show different shit. Now, obviously, Rockman couldn't go to southpaw stance, and you'll sit there, you talking about, oh, you just wouldn't let me even go southpaw. Bro, you shouldn't even need to go southpaw, okay, to beat Jake Paul, the YouTuber. You shouldn't need to. And then two, it's just like, well, he can't have you go southpaw because he's facing an orthodox fighter. What sense would it make for him to go, spar with a bunch of southpaws or a guy that's going southpaw when he needs to face an orthodox fighter in his matchup? So, Rockman, there's lots of red flags with him. And the way he talks, and at the press conference, I'll talk about that even though this fight isn't going down. There's lots of red flags, It's just a lot of things that a professional fighter at his caliber, or supposedly his caliber, shouldn't be saying when he's going up against a guy like Jake Paul. There's lots of red flags. I think he's a lazy fighter. I think that he's not as good as he thinks he is, and I know that sounds harsh, but it's the truth. And I'm not seeing the indication in this film study to make me say, oh yeah, this guy's, He's drastically better than Jake Paul. Another good jab. Another good jab. I like how he lowers his level, but still shoots the jab up top. I like that he's consistently feigning. It's beautiful work by Jake, man. He's thinking in there. I see more thinking on his end than Rahman. Changing levels. Rahman dropping his hands a little bit. I'm okay with that. Putting up the high guard. I think Rahman really respects Jake's power. I like how Rahman checked him there. Jake was letting his hands go. And then Rahman tried to let him know, like, hey, back off a little bit. Don't get too cocky. Don't keep on letting your hands go. I will check you. But here, see, Rahman can do something. Work some counters, man. Like, just throw him over the top of his punches or around, wrap him around the hand. You don't have to land him. But once again, I think this is more a lack of skill to why we don't see him doing much work than it is, him holding back. It looks like he's going southpaw right here. He switched southpaw to the southpaw just briefly right there. Framing. Rahman is framing through a very lazy right. He just looks like a lazy fighter, man. He's very lazy. Even his dad said he's lazy. I believe it. It's like he's just going through the motions. Like right there, instead of just breaking it up and walking, that's lazy right there. Just what he did. Instead of work in there. Teach the young gun something. Be like, yo, stay right here. Like, let's get some work. Come on, let's get some work. That's what you do. Stay on the inside. Let your puncher work on your inside game against Jake Paul. Like work on your defense on the inside. Be like, come on, man, let's go, let's throw. But it's too much ego with Rahman. It's too much ego because he's more focused on not looking bad than he is really improving in this sparring session. Once again, throwing punches and missing them. And he should be throwing his jab way more. If you're limited in what you can do, most of the time a jab is not going to knock out your opponent. So utilize that jab. Use your feint and jab. Be creative with it. Like I said, there's so much a high-level pro fighter can do to a lower-level guy. So, he can take two things and he can use all sorts of variation and combinations with just two techniques, and he can make you work all day. And he can give you good work, and he can get good work himself, working on small little fine details. I don't see that from Rahman. I just see him kind of standing there. Sometimes he'll check with a hook, sometimes he'll catch a punch, and sometimes he'll throw a jab, and sometimes he'll miss most of his punches. Another jab right there. And once again, he shouldn't be waiting for Jake Paul. Learn how to create offense for yourself. This is the problem with some guys sparring. It's just like, you got to work on things, man. Go in there with the intentions. Go in there like, I'm going to improve this technique, or I'm going to work on these certain things. You can get good work out of any sparring session. Doesn't matter if your sparring partner is complete garbage or he's a rookie or amateur. You can get good work if you're creative enough to understand, okay, this is what I can do. Okay, I can work on this. I can work on these small things. And I don't even have to hurt this kid. Jake Paul dropping his hands. Both of them are starting to talk shit. And I like that Jake Paul's dropping his hands. He probably understands good 1-2 right there. Feints. I like that he's dropping his hands on the outside because it's showing I think he understands I want to improve my vision. Okay, I need to improve my vision. I'm trying to get inside, and I do feel like I'm a little bit quicker than this guy. So I'm going to drop my hands, be elusive. I'm going to be able to keep my vision and get in and get out. Once again, like I was saying earlier, one thing Jake really needs to work on if he really wants to be a true, complete boxer and compete at a high level, you got to settle down. You got to be able to fight at close quarters. You got to be able to stay within range and make your opponent miss without having to jump in and out, because that's what amateurs do. They jump in and out. There's a lot of pro fighters that have that in and out style But you know, if you want to be complete, you got to be able to settle down. You don't have to move to your feet to make your opponent miss. Lots of tools you can utilize: rolling under punches, ducking, catching, you know, shoulder parrying, slips, you know, smother, clinch. Lots of different things you can do. You know, I like to see Rockman, you know, catch a jab and shoot the right hand. Nice little 1-2 by Jake. Jake's sticking and moving. Jake's a troll, so he knows how to get into people's head. You know, he knows how to get the upper hand psychologically. He's really good at that. Good head movement by Jake. I like that. He's rolling under. He's starting to understand head slots, and that's something he's really improved, because when he first started, his head movement was non-existent. Nice. He steps back. He still needs to control his movement in the sense that, okay, if he does step back, you know, half step back. You don't have to drastically jump back and forth or take a foot. Do, you know, half step back, half step forward, move laterally. Like, control your movement. If you're, you know, Rockman wasn't even coming in and being offensively aggressive. There's no need for you to give up so much real estate and back up and let Rockman kind of take that ground and control the center of the ring. You know, you can easily get out of the way. You know, just leaning back sometimes is just enough, and that's what I'm saying. Jake Paul, very smart, very good for where he's at. Very impressed with him. I thought Jake Paul got more of the sparring session. Like I said, I don't know the terms and conditions. You know, I don't know if they told Rockman not to throw punches or, you know, to relax and just kind of stand there. I don't know if this is all for the cameras. But once again, if you're truly superior to your sparring partner, there's ways you can make it to where you get a satisfactory sparring session. You get to work on something, and you make him work as well without nobody getting hurt. But it truly takes somebody who has a high level of skill. Because if you don't, then you're not going to understand. I love watching a sparring session with Roberto Duran and Nigel Benn. It was an old sparring session. You can find it on YouTube. I may do a film study on that. Roberto Duran had such a great way of sparring without hurting his partners, but taking it easy, making it fun, and working on so many different things without even hurting Nigel Benn. And Nigel Benn was going hard. And you know, the nightmare Nigel Benn, he was a nightmare. I mean, even in sparring, sometimes he would push the pace and go very hard. And Roberto Duran was so astronomically, I'm not going to say that much more skilled than Nigel Benn, because Nigel Benn was a pretty damn good fighter himself. But I think it's easy to say that Roberto Duran was the more skilled boxer. He was able to stay controlled, calm, and composed and relaxed and work on so many different techniques, despite the fact that Nigel Benn was dropping bombs and he was pushing the pace and kind of being an asshole through sparring. You know, so that's how I know. I don't think Rockman is that much better. I don't think than Jake Paul. He should be, considering his amateur background and resume and professional fights. I agree with his dad. I think he's a little bit lazy. And one of the things I was going to say, I didn't want to interrupt the sparring session. There's some red flags at the press conference. Bro, you're complaining that you couldn't turn southpaw. Well, he's not fighting a southpaw, so of course he can't. He doesn't want you to turn southpaw. But why would you even need to? Dude, clearly should be the better boxer. You know, you're at the press conference talking about, well, he's trying to weight drain me. He's trying to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and he's making me come down and no rehydration clause or whatever the shit is. And it's just like, bro, you agreed to it. This happens all the time in boxing. What are you talking about? Like, this is kind of the standard. There's an A side and there's a B side. And sometimes the B side's got to do a lot of shit to get the fight. You know, or sometimes they got to do a lot of things that's not typically fair, or they're put in a disadvantageous position because they're not the A side. Why are you bitching about it, bro? He's a fucking YouTuber. You know, go down, cut the weight. It's only better for you. whoop his ass. You say you're that much better than him. You say you got the better than him in sparring, and you can do it again. Then just shut the fuck up and beat the guy up. Do what you need to do. You're the professional. You got to look at him as the amateur. You be like, bro, I do this shit. I've been doing this my amateur, throughout, when I was a child. I got a professional resume. I'm the real deal. I will do whatever y'all need me to do because I'm going to show you the difference between a YouTube boxer and a real professional heavyweight fighter, or somebody who can cut down and show you what it's about. And he did, I'll give him credit. I do think there was something sketchy about this whole thing. I don't know if the fight was ever going to actually go down. Who do I think is right or wrong? I don't know. I think the problem with Jake, he probably thought that Rahman was going to probably put on the pounds, regain the weight, and he would have a significant weight advantage. But you got to understand, of course, if you're Jake Paul, you're going to start dictating it in a way to where you can gain some sort of advantage. He's trying to carefully manage his boxing career, and he doesn't want the gravy train to stop here. So he has to be very calculated. He wants to maximize the checks. He wants to keep this thing rolling. But I'm very impressed with Jake Paul. I think he's developed a lot, considering he doesn't need to box and he's a rich boy. It's very impressive. Made lots of progress. Is showing lots of high IQ things he's thinking in there. He just needs to sharpen his technique, develop the cardio, the condition, and continue to get the experience. And that's going to be up to him. But will he ever compete at a high level against most, his weight class will be cruiserweight? I don't know about all that. But I think he can become pretty good. I think maybe the best he could do is maybe top 50, but that's if he really fucking, he really gets after it. And maybe higher. There's lots of opportunity in those heavier weight divisions. They're not all that deep. But I'm very impressed. Rahman not so impressed. I don't know what went down and why the fight was canceled, but seems a little sketchy on both sides. But I don't think Rahman really looked that great in the leaked sparring footage. I don't look at it and say he would have fucked Jake Paul up. He may have won, he may have gotten the upper hand, maybe even knocked him out. But once again, I take into considering where Jake Paul is at, considering he hasn't been doing this his whole life. So that's what I think. That was a sparring session. Comment down below, like the video, subscribe if you're new. If there's anything you want me to commentate on or do a reaction to or breakdown film footage, put it in the comment section below. This is your boy Havoc. Find around. Get at me.